All right, man. Welcome back to the Daily Money Markets. You're still with me, Che Yusuf, man. So, in terms of the how the market is actually moving, we said we're gonna look into the eurozone and how the Euro Fed minutes actually been released and how it's been impacted to to the platform or to your trading platform. So we saw the minutes, the Federal Reserve minutes from Europe dropped yesterday 7 p.m. minutes not consistently. That's the economist that said their minutes is not actually consistently because the Fed remain open to actually hike the interest rate again. And if you look at it, the videos that we do around December, November, the Federal Reserve, they were saying on December that this is actually the last time they're not going to hike the interest rate. They put the interest rate on a pause so that from the first quarter of 2024 January now they can start dropping the interest rate. But according to consumer price index in Europe, how it's looking, and according to consumer price index as well in Germany, how actually things are looking, it looks like it is not going to happen. That is why the Federal Reserve yesterday said the Feds are actually remaining open in terms of hiking the interest rate. They don't know exactly where actually it stands. So again, the UK inflation is still on a hike if you look at it, because when we saw the CPI that comes today and CPI from Germany that comes today, so it actually gave us the whole picture that the European zone, the interest rate, the inflation rate, it's actually still on a high. As well as the Bank of England, they're thinking of cutting the beds, but they're not going to cut the beds without actually understanding how the UK mortgage approval result is going to be that coming today, specific today on Thursday. So we are looking at to see the UK mortgage approval so that the Bank of England can make a decision in terms of the cutting the BETCs, which is the bids, right? So that people who are having mortgages around Europe or around the United Kingdom can actually start, paying a little bit of lesser because of the inflation is keeping going high. The Federal Reserve, they're saying they're going to still remain open in terms of hiking the interest rate. So who's going to be affected? People who are actually mortgages, they're the ones who are going to getting affected. So in order to control that situation or that industry, the mortgage industry, what you actually need to do is to see the report of United Kingdom mortgage approvals with how many people they've been approved. Then it gives you the indication, identification, how many people are applying this, are qualifying this based off the high interest rate. That's where you can say, okay, let's cut down the bids so that they shouldn't, we should have more people qualifying, although the interest rate is high. It's really, really crazy, arrangements in terms of how the economy moves for all sectors of Federal Reserve, inflation rate, mortgage increase and approval, consumer price index, and as well as producer price index. All of them, they're actually aspects of the economy of a specific region. So at this instant, we are talking about the European economy at the moment. But again, the most of the economists and they're still saying that we are waiting for the GDP to see how actually the GDP from Europe is going to come out. Then they're going to start making a decision in terms of increasing the interest rate or not, right? So another story that I saw coming on Tuesday, it was also Tesla releasing the third quarter earnings for their Tesla company, and they actually did good, but the sales of Tesla didn't, they did good, but the other company that produces the automobile cars, which is, it was below Tesla, that company. But this year they actually surpassed Tesla by the sales release. So this company is a BYD. I think if you Google it, you'll be able to see BYD company produces a lot of SUV Sudan. They actually jump to start producing the electromobile cars. So the most interesting part about this is that 5 years ago, Elon Musk says BYD, they will never surpass Tesla in terms of the sales. they actually diss them, says that they produce ugly cars, they're not looking very comfortable or looking better than the Teslas. But surprisingly, which is Tuesday morning, Elon Musk is the one that actually tweeted to say that, hey man, that was 5 years ago. I'm sorry, but now congratulations for actually beating us in terms of the electromobile sales, which is really really interesting, and which is really good according to me, the way I understand it, because the more competitor you are on EV creation, the better. They're gonna come up with a different ways of improving the cars. Again, they're gonna come up with a reasonable amount, because this is what a lot of economists are saying, that the more you are actually developing on designing these electromobile cars that are expensive, and they're gonna flood all over in the garage for people to buy, you have to consider also the interest rate. You have to consider the affordability of people. Are they going to afford that specific electromobile cars? So more people, more players coming in a game of electromobile, that's better, because the price also, they're gonna I think drop a little bit, and there will be a competition in terms of the production. That's really really interesting. So yeah, man, that's what actually I saw again on Tuesday. But again, another thing that is actually driving really really the market is the geopolitics that are actually happening at the moment. We're gonna talk about geopolitics a little bit later on. But we saw, when we are talking about the German CPI falls to 0.1% month to month, again 3.5% year to year. So they're actually in German, things are not good, expecting to actually raise the interest rate. That is why the Europe, they're saying they're leaving it open, that anytime they can start again to start hiking the interest rate. So things are not good in terms of the German. And also I'm thinking the geopolitics, they're the ones that are actually playing at this particular time. If you actually look at it, how things are actually moving. So yeah, coming on France, the France CPI surpassed the focus. So what they were actually, anticipating, they surpassed, but they surpassed it by 0.1% month to month. But the issue with France is that they actually, wanna gain 2% growth in terms of their GDP by the end of 2024, by the end of this year. But if they're actually growing at a 0.1%, it's worrying. And if you look at it, it's a first quarter of economics calendar. So if you grow with 0.1%, not even 0.10 or 0.50 or 0.20, it's actually really really worrying. And I think the reason why this is also the geopolitics, that France is actually being involved. Remember, France, they're the guys that they're actually involved in a economic monetary policies with other African countries. Pretty much other African countries like Nigeria and Mali, they actually use the sweets of the France for their monetary policies rules. So now the coups, they come in, they took over in Niger, and they took over in Mali, and all these coups, they said, hey guys, we need to establish our own monetary funds, our own monetary policy, so that we can create our own currency that will benefit people from Niger or people from Mali. And on top of that, they didn't just say that, they cut the supply of gold. They're no longer supplying gold to Europeans. They cut the supply of uranium, they cut the supply of coal. They are actually, last week, the leader of the coup in Niger announced to actually pause all certificate of the mine that are foreign miners that are actually mining in Niger. So no any foreign companies in Niger that actually doing the mining and take the mines, and take the gold, platinum and so on, and took it to Europe. So that's another thing, because if you look at it, France, it was depending on these countries in terms of their electricity, in terms of the American Swiss, in terms of creating the jewelries and so on and so forth that can push their economy. So that's what actually the geopolitics about France, and that's why we are really worried that they're not gonna get to that